Jenny, and today we are going to talk about EFT, or Emotional Freedom Technique. And EFT uses the same principles that acupuncture uses, except that there's no needles. So it's painless, it's easy, and it's a great way of healing from various energetic issues, which can result in emotional problems, physical problems, or any other issue you might have. So I'm just going to show you the basics so that you can see which the tapping points are. And the first one that we usually use is called the karate chop point. And if you look at your hand, and it can be either or, I'm right-handed, so I tend to use my right hand to tap, but you can do it the other way also. And it's the fleshy part along the side of your hand, and we call that the karate chop point. And so to tap on that, so for example, I'm tapping with my right hand, you can do it the other way around. I'm going to tap with my right fingers, and I'm using 3 of them. You can use 4 if that's comfortable for you. Either way, I have a pretty short pinky, so it's easier for me to just use 3, and I'll tap on those points right there. And that actually covers a few different meridian endings. The next point that we use is the inner eyebrow, and that is the point right where the inside of the eyebrow comes in, right at the top, just above the bridge of your nose. And you can do this one of 2 ways. You can either just tap like this with 1 finger, or what's even a little bit more effective is to tap with 2 fingers. And if you want to get really crazy, you can do both at the same time, like this. And sometimes I'll just use 2 fingers and catch both points on the inside of both eyebrows at once. So whichever way is more comfortable for you. The next point is the outside of the eye. And that is literally right outside the corner. And again, you can do just 1 at a time, or you can do both. You can use 1 finger at a time, or 2. And if you feel like right outside, you'll feel where the bone starts, and that's where you want to be, is right on the edge of where the bone starts, right outside the corner of your eye. The next point we use is the under the eye point, and that is directly below your pupil. And same thing, you can use 1 finger, and it's also right at the edge of that bone underneath as well. You can use 2 fingers, or you can go crazy and do both at the same time. The next point that we use is under the nose, and that is right here between the underside of your nose and the top of your lip. And if you have a larger face, you might be able to get 2 fingers in there. Usually just 1 will fit. The next point that we use is the chin point. And it's not all the way down on your chin, it's just below your lip, that little area between your lip and your chin, that little indentation. And again, 1 finger or 2 fingers if that feels comfortable. And sometimes we will actually combine both of those points, both the chin point and the under the nose point. And you can do that a couple different ways. You can turn your hand sideways and do it this way. Or you can, if it's more comfortable for you, use 2 hands and do them both at the same time. And the next point that we use is the collarbone point. And if you feel along your collarbone, there's a little ridge right in there, and you want to hit right underneath where that ridge is. And sometimes I like to take 2 or even 3 fingers, or you could even take all your fingers at once, and that way you know you've got the right point and you know you've got it covered. And same thing, you can do 1, you can cross your hands and use both. Or you can do what I like to do and sort of like do the broad spectrum sort of thing with 1 hand, whichever's more comfortable for you. So that's the collarbone point. And next we have the under the arm. And this is not right up in your armpit, it's a little ways down. And for women, that would be right about where your bra strap comes around. And so you can probably guess it pretty well, and even you guys can probably estimate about where that would be. So, maybe about 4 inches below your armpit, depending on the size of your torso. And again, you can use several fingers at once. You want to probably use at least 2 on that point. Another point that not all practitioners use, but I often use, is called the liver point. And that is right up on your rib cage. It's underneath the breast, and if you imagine about, for you men, it would be roughly about 2 to 3 inches below the nipple. And for you ladies, it would be right up underneath the center of the breast. And you can do 1 side or you can do both sides. Another point that we use that is not used by all practitioners, but I like to use and several others do as well, is the wrist point. And we have more than one meridian ending in our wrist. So if you look at the inside of the wrist, and you can just use your fingers, you can use 3 or even 4 fingers to tap on that. Or another really great way to do it is to tap both of your wrists together, and now you're hitting all those points on both wrists. So that's a really great one to use. And last but not least, we have the top of the head. And for this one, there's a few different ways you can do it. You want to get right at the very top of your head, and what we like to do is to try to incorporate all of the fingers. So you're really getting them in there and tapping right on the top of your head. That can be a really comforting one for a lot of people, very relaxing. So that's all of the EFT points that are commonly used, and some practitioners might use other ones, but that gives you the basics. Those are all incorporate all of the ones that I would use in any of my sessions and that most practitioners would use in any of their sessions. As I mentioned, the liver point and the wrist points are not used by all practitioners, but often incorporated, just depending on who you're working with and what their style is. But I hope that that's helpful for you, and if you are interested in an EFT session, I would love to work with you and look forward to hearing from you. And again, my website is charlestonreikihealing.com, and that is Charleston, CHARLESTON, Reiki, REIKI, healing, HEALING.com. Thanks so much. Again, I'm Jenny, and I look forward to hearing from you. Namaste.